Last night, we got the fight between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Luis Ortiz. Pretty good heavyweight matchup. Now, hold on a second. I know some of you are probably thinking like, Ryan, that thing was super boring. What do you mean pretty good matchup? I get it. Very lackluster at times. Not exactly when I say a pretty good matchup, I'm not necessarily referring to the excitement factor, right? Or how much things were going on in that regard. I mean, just guys at the top of the division trying to shake things out, trying to see where people stand and what's going to be next and everything. The heavyweight division is a little bit exciting right now, right? Maybe it's a lot of bit exciting, but it's not always that way. So when we got guys at the top, guys fighting each other, guys who are skilled, we want to see how everything goes. So in that sense, it was a really good fight. Now, as I just mentioned, not exactly the most exciting. And who's to blame for that one, right? On the one hand, I could look at Luis Ortiz and say, man, all the guy was doing was for a lot of that fight was using the jab. But it was working for him, right? He was winning some rounds. He was on the outside. He was at distance as the bigger, taller man. Very crisp jab, very sharp, even though he's 43 years old or possibly even older, right? But he was still able to go out there and he was still able to control the distance, manage everything that he was doing, use that jab, stay long, and win a lot of rounds. Is it his fault? I mean, when the guy's winning, it's not exciting. It's not necessarily super entertaining unless you're really a hardcore fan, but he's winning the fight. Is it his fault at that point? Do we look at it and say it's his problem? Or do we look at the guy who say, Ruiz, and say, you're losing the fight. You're the guy who needs to change something. You're the guy who's got to go in there and switch it up. And oh, by the way, if you go in there and switch it up in an attempt to win the fight, highly likely it's going to make the fight more exciting and us as the fans are going to enjoy it more. Right? So who do you necessarily place the blame on there? Because if you look at Ortiz, you think, if you're able to touch him with the jab, right, this is an age-old adage in boxing. If you're able to touch him with the jab, you're able to touch him with the, in this sense, it'd be the left hand or the right hand, right? But your backhand, your power hand. So if you're able to touch him with the jab, you're able to touch him with the power hand. Consequently, if you cannot touch him with the jab, you're not going to be able to land your power shots. So that's kind of the premise that guys use when they say everything is built off your jab, work behind your jab, start with the jab. Once you can use the jab to begin to find the distance, the timing, the range, then you build on it more. Ortiz wasn't really doing that for the most part. He was landing some good, hard left shots, but those were typically always counters off of what Ruiz was doing. So for large portions of the fight, very unexciting, crowd booing at times. Nevertheless, we got to see how it shook out between two of these top guys in the division. Okay? Now think about Andy Ruiz and what he did out there. He's going against Luis Ortiz, highly skilled, southpaw, bigger man, long reach, fights better from the outside than Ruiz. So that's a tough thing to handle. And then it was Ruiz's first southpaw on top of it. So very, very tough puzzle to solve. But I thought he was going to be able to see some success based off of his age, his incredibly quick hands, the fact that he throws well in combinations. He knows how to pressure, knows how to get underneath shots. But primarily, and this is super huge, this is important, and we saw it play out, at least I think, Ruiz's age, or Ortiz's age. Sorry. Ruiz is young. Ortiz 43, like I said, possibly older. We know for a fact that in the past, when you're dealing with amateur athletes coming out of Cuba, they have been known to not always be 100% honest when it comes to their birth certificates, right? Not always 100% honest when it comes to a guy's age. So it's very possible that we could be looking at a guy like Ortiz, and he could be a few years older than 43. Now, does it really matter? It's not like we're looking at 43 like he's some spring chicken, like he's some young guy out there. So even at 43 years old for a professional boxer, old guy. So that's all there is to it. Old guy. You can still go out there and be successful. He looked very good in spots last night, but he was still an old guy doing it. So based off of all those things, I thought Ruiz was going to be able to see some success, and he did. Ended up going out there scoring 3 knockdowns, right? 2 in the, what was it? 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th. I can't even remember at this point. 2 in the 2nd. Get it. And he did see some success. He was able to go out there and score 3 knockdowns over the course of the fight. Nevertheless, he lost more rounds than he won. He won because of those knockdowns, but he lost more rounds than he won. He was keeping his hands in his pockets, man. He was just, I'm sure he was wary of that counter left hand that was coming back from Ortiz, man. It was sharp, snapped his head back a couple times. All that being said, Andy Ruiz has quite a chin, doesn't he, man? He's got quite a chin. He ate some shots from Joshua. He ate some shots from Ortiz, man. Both of these dudes can crack. Both of these guys are very big men who can punch. Both of these guys got a lot of knockouts on their record that got good timing. They know how to slip these shots in there. Ruiz ate all of that and just kept it moving. He was definitely the more durable guy. Now, what would have happened if he'd have opened up a little bit more? What would have happened if in that 5th, 6th round, he'd have let his hands go? The 9th or the 10th round, he'd start firing his punches off a little more, because when he was coming in and when he was letting his hands go, he looked good. It's also during those exchanges when I thought he had the advantage, but those exchanges are what also opened him up to the counter shots from Ortiz. So it's the yin and the yang, right? It's that balance about trying to press things and win, but not trying to press it too much and open yourself up for these big shots. At the end of the day, because of those knockdowns is why he won. He was able to squeak out the unanimous decision, but one of those cards was at 113, I think 113, 112 or 113, 111. So a relatively close fight, particularly when you think about the fact that you scored those knockdowns. So here's the thing. We got to look at Ortiz and we got to think, that's kind of it, man, right? They were talking about it in the build-up to the fight that he needs to win out if he wants to get another shot at the belt. Last night, obviously, derailed that train. Now we're sitting here. What do you do with a man who's that age? What do you do with a man who's been knocked down multiple times in his last couple fights, right? Remember Charles Martin got him before with the jab. Now all of a sudden we're seeing Andy Ruiz knock him down 3 times in this fight. Past his prime, right? Got to figure he's not going to go out there. He's not going to beat a guy he already lost to twice in Deontay Wilder should he snatch the belts back up. Got to figure he's not going to beat a guy like Usyk. If he lost to Andy Ruiz last night, I have no reason to believe that he's going to be able to go out there and beat Usyk. And Tyson Fury? Come on, man. That's funny. That's not going to happen either. So we got to think at this point, that's it, right? So what's he relegated to? Is he relegated to the role of gatekeeper? Right? Able to beat everybody except the best in the division? I don't know. But I think it's safe to say that he's past his prime, and we're going to be done talking about him as a potential world champion. Now, Andy Ruiz, on the other hand, interesting little thing here. I'll be perfectly honest and come right out with it. I don't see Dude getting it done either. I do not see him going out there and beating any of the top guys in the division. So if I'm talking about the top guys right now, let's say 3 or 4, right? Really, I think we're talking about 2 if we're talking about Tyson Fury and Usyk. Those are the top guys. They're a step above everybody else. On the level right below them, I probably have to put Joshua and Wilder. I don't think Ruiz is going to go out there and beat any of those guys. He already lost to Joshua. Now, he beat Joshua in the first fight. I get it, but he lost in the rematch when there was more time to prepare and everybody was a little bit more ready. Now, I would love to see a trilogy fight there. 1-1 right now. I would love to see a trilogy fight when Andy Ruiz comes in completely prepared. Not overweight, not partying because he won the belt, not out there living his best life, unprepared for the fight, going out there and just getting beat. I want to see Joshua when he feels like his entire career is on the line and he absolutely needs a win. And I want to see Ruiz when he feels the exact same way and both of these men are fully prepared and they step in the ring. I think it'll be a good fight. I think it would be probably Ruiz's best bet out of all 4 of those guys to get a win. Because if he goes in there against Wilder, would he see some success at times? Sure. I think he moves better than, he's got better footwork. He's certainly more explosive and quick with his footwork. I think he gets underneath shots well, and Wilder's really long. So you can kind of bait him into throwing long shots and then getting underneath him. And Ruiz has such fast hands, man. He's so quick and he throws in combinations that if he gets on the inside and you're even off balance in the slightest bit, he's going to be able to get good shots off, right? And we all know Deontay Wilder isn't some defensive guru. He's not out there slipping a bunch of shots. He's not out there hiding behind his shoulders well. He's not getting underneath shots himself. He leans back from stuff. And if he can get away from it, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But Ruiz goes to the body well, man. We saw him land some good body shots last night. So I think he would be able to get in there and get some work done. However, at the end of the day, man, I think Wilder's going to be able to land that big right hand on him. I think he's probably going to be able to control him a little bit with the jab, kind of frame him up and set him. Obviously, we know Deontay isn't a man who's going out there to win a decision. Doesn't try to go out there and win too many rounds. So I don't think he's going to feel this burning desire to try to control the thing so much with the jab or try to get so much work done that he leaves all these countering opportunities. I think we're going to see what we've always seen except slightly improved from the time off, and that's going to be a sniper, man, who goes out there and he has got that one shot with that right hand. I think he'd probably end up landing it against Ruiz. Ruiz would look good in spots, look good in moments, but it would only last as long as it lasted. It'd be done. Tyson Fury, I think it wouldn't even be close. Usyk, same thing. I don't even think it'd be close, right? I think Usyk would particularly present some real trouble because this would only be the second southpaw that Ruiz faced. We saw how he had to keep his hands in his pockets and how he felt about what Ortiz was doing. Think about Usyk with that footwork, man. Think about the way he punches in combinations more and how slick he is, the way he's able to control that gap and that distance. Far better than what Ortiz does, in my opinion. And oh, by the way, he's still bigger than Ruiz. He's still taller. He's still longer. He's still going to be able to make those things happen. Faster hands than anybody Ruiz has probably faced as well. So I think it'd be some real trouble. They talked about it before the fight. They gave a little interview with Deontay Wilder, and they said, hey, the winner of this fight is talking about potentially facing you. He's got the fight set up with Robert Helenius on October 15th. Would you be interested in making just, a super quick turnaround if you could, no cuts, no injuries or whatever, and possibly fighting in December? And he said, look, man, I'm here for it. I only got about 3.5 years left. Once I hit 40 years old, I'm done. So I'm here for all the fights, whether it's in December at the end of this year, whether it's in early spring of next year. I really want to make all the biggest fights happen. And I absolutely believe him. And I absolutely believe that at this point, Ruiz versus Wilder, should Wilder be successful against Helenius, it's probably a good fight. I think Ruiz would be better off taking the trilogy with Joshua. I don't know how marketable that one is, if this is what they're going for with Wilder. But man, I think that would be a bad look for Ruiz. I think it's going to be 2 wins in a row for Wilder if that's the case. I think he's going to be victorious against Helenius. And if he gets Ruiz, whether it's December, February, March, April, whatever it may be, I think it's going to be tough for Andy Ruiz to get the win in that one. So as good as he looked in spots last night, he still leaves a little bit to be desired. And against those top guys in the division, man, it is so tough to even have one small chink in your armor and come out successful. So great performance for him. Let's not forget, before he came in on short notice and beat Anthony Joshua, nobody really knew who he was. We weren't talking about him. Now all of a sudden he's kept his name in the division. He's kept his name at the top. He's kept his name relevant. He switched up trainers because he felt he needed it, was able to come out and be successful. Congratulations to him in a lot of ways, man. He's earned it. So I'm glad to see the success he's having. I'm going to absolutely always be looking forward to what fights he has next. But man, oh man, Wilder is a tall order. So let me know what you guys think. Did you really like what you saw from him last night? What do you think's next for Ortiz? And what do you think is going to happen in Ruiz's next fight? Let me know what you guys think.